Hi everyone, it's me again. Just adjust that there. Probably need to move it back a bit because I move around and probably hit the microphone. But anyway, we're back to looking at the Grieg again, and I want to sort of dive straight in. We'll probably review the annotations, score annotations, but I wanted to continue, our score reading, or rather our score analysis, score annotation work from last week. But obviously, I want to dive straight in because I actually didn't get that far in the last week's video. So we'll go for about half an hour, hopefully, again today, and see how far we get. Hopefully, a bit further. So let's share my screen now. There we go. So yeah, if you're dropping into this video and haven't seen last week's, that's probably not that essential because we'll just have a quick look at my annotations here. But we're looking at Peer Gynt Suite Number 1 by Edvard Grieg, and the first movement, Morning Mood, which if you're not familiar with, obviously go and have a listen to, but you will be, I'm sure, if you go and listen, you'll recognize it probably instantaneously. It's a very well-known piece of music. So then, obviously, started annotating. One of the first things I suggested doing was putting bar numbers in if they don't exist, at least on the first bar of each page. And I think last week I had 2 pages, so that would be nice to have, wouldn't it? I think that looks a bit easier, seeing as we can afford it on this screen. But yes, put the score numbers as in, because that can be quite helpful. Just for making reference to bar numbers, you don't have to count back from rehearsal marks or rely on rehearsal marks that are a bit sort of hit and miss. I don't think the first ones for this one come in until about bar 20, so it's worth putting them in, I think, straight away, rather than midway through your score reading. But yeah, we added the key signature here as well, just to make us have an idea. We're not looking at the harmony exactly yet. Trying to rely on like the melodic structures and phrasing, because it's quite a melodic piece to try and piece together the structure. And then eventually we'll probably look at harmony. We'll see where it takes us. But yes, I put E major and C sharp minor, but it's major, this first bit. And we just put C sharp minor because I don't like to make assumptions until we've done like a close harmonic analysis. But yeah, as I say, our first go over this piece is just to simply try and piece together what's going on melodically, to see if that will guide our structural analysis. So yeah, my numbering, T1, that means theme 1, and this is of the 3rd iteration. And I probably should add alt for altered key change / transposition G sharp to G sharp from E major before. And then the 4th repetition here, and then T1 fragmented, and we highlighted sort of where we think. Doesn't have to be perfectly right just yet. That's something that we can decide later, as long as we've got it in our annotation to be sort of, we can verify, validate this a bit later on. I think this one's pretty secure because it looks very much like that. This one, obviously slightly different. This is a kind of broken melodic structure, whereas this is like clearly a underlying harmony, broken chord structure. So we'll have to think about that one. So yes, how far did we get? T2, got theme 2 here. And that's something as well that we observed last week, where we had this kind of elaborate, or at least we put it in as something again to consider, an elaboration of this melodic idea here, this back and forth idea, and then similar contour here, and how Grieg sort of uses that as his transition into this second theme, or more of an accompanying section, because again, I think the theme actually starts here, although it certainly becomes more like melody here as it starts to move. So yes, T2 first, and then T2. Did we get T2 second? I don't think we did here again. And I think that's what made me realize actually that the melody does start on these figures here, because Grieg uses them again. Here, look, as you can see, it's C, T22. He uses that same thing and there's the held note underneath, but we've changed key. That's probably something I should have added there. Can we establish key quickly? Got major chord, whether he's gone back to G sharp major again. That could be a feature of this where he sort of rocks backwards and forwards. As I say, we don't have to be perfectly accurate on our first viewing, but it looks like G sharp major, so we'll put that for now. Back in. No, we'll put what is more of a modulation than a transposition. G sharp. Quite direct transpositions, direct modulations. Well, I say that I've not actually looked at the harmony closely enough to confirm that, but this felt quite direct, and you can usually travel between medians quite directly, and G sharp is obviously a median of E major. So yes, T21, and what was my alt transition? I think I put altered again to say, although I can't say that, can I? Because it's the first one. So modulation to G sharp will do. Oh, it's early morning, so forgive me for my back and forth there. But yes, let's dive back in. T22. We think it's changed key here. It looks like he's just gone down. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So what I think has happened here is he's gone to F, but used perhaps, again, I'll have to look at the harmony, although the relationship's still probably valid, assuming we've got G sharp right a moment ago. This, he has gone to F major by the looks of it. I'll put alt because or mod / transposition. Alt. He's altered it, and it seems to be like, say, a transposition into F major. C. 30 bar 37, so we have the F here. Although, hang on. This looks more like minor. So there could be some further harmonic shifts. Or I've picked up the wrong chord here. Okay. I'll put F. We'll leave that for now anyway. But it looks like he, unless he has got some modal mixture going on, or modal interchange, something we'll have to pick out. Yeah, maybe leave ourselves a note again. We have this T22 alt again. Trying to remind myself of the shape of the old idea. So I think it's going to end on the next page. Oh, here. Okay, that's interesting. So, get myself this because it's easy to copy and paste in preview. I think this is a transition section. Whether we, I can't remember how we'd label T23 transition. We'll use here. And he uses, as we can see here, the same figure that he's been using for the accompanying figures of this T2-2 or T2-1, that transition in, that if we remember them, the motif, he elaborated on it, embellished it for transitioning into this second theme. He seems to use it as the basis of actually doing T1. I can't remember what number we're up to, so I'm gonna have to go back and remind myself. 5, 6. As long as the coding's the right. 7 there. He uses the horn for his melody this time. Horn in E. Oh, sorry about that, brother. I just had to go and remind myself which way horn in E was transposing. And as we can see here, if we quickly have a look at this piano arrangement, this is where it goes. So, and this is quite helpful for actually looking at the harmony, which we'll probably use for that, looking at the harmony in future. And obviously we go what looks like, well, it's actually an F major chord over the top, but it seems to be sort of over a dominant pedal, assuming we're in F major, but it transposes from the A flat to this C. So that's helpful to know. So we have F. I suppose that would make sense if it's sort of still around that area. Ends on an F major chord in a second inversion there. Okay. Go back to the screen. So yeah. We could help ourselves here actually if I get another thing. F over C. Put question mark to make it clear that I'm making that note without having a close look at stuff, because I don't look at it and think I've made some kind of close judgment over that. But yeah, there seems to be a C pedal over F. Melody is sort of between F and C as well, starting on that C, but dropping down to the F. So it seems to me it's pretty straight setting of the theme again, isn't it? Of that main T1 thing. I was just checking to see how much you change it. A minor there. And it looks like being goes to E, but anyway, that's by the by for the moment. Do you want to stay focused on? This is why I do try and focus on one thing at a time, because sometimes get caught up in details that can more easily be dealt with once you've got an idea of other aspects of the piece. Some people might be saying they should start with the harmony and then figure out the form from that, which could work and does work for a lot of stuff as well. So T1, I think it was 8, wasn't it? I think it was A over B, I think. But this chord, it looks like an E over B, yeah, when it finishes there. looks like here, of a fragmentary section is using, let's make our little boxes again to help us out. Zoom's in the way here. So that's what I'm using to record. Are out of the way. You can't see it obviously, but it's in the way of my annotation bits and pieces. So square. What do I need? Use a red box because that's always handy. Red stands out. Obviously, it's in other parts of the orchestration, but we'll explore this bit, isn't it? Give ourselves these little lines. Yeah, just to remind us when we look back over this for our, when we try and compile the analysis into something. So then, seem to be moving quite nicely through this at the moment, so we'll keep going. There's probably a key change there as well. Seems to be a back and forth between. Yeah, he seems to be using a lot of second inversion chords through here, resolving to kind of other structures, I think. I'm reading that wrong. Yeah. So he's got like that could be worth noting. I'm probably going back to this earlier bit. Oh, going forwards rather than backwards. Here we go. Hang on. Is that far enough? 2 alt. I think he starts around here, doesn't he? This strands. Maybe if I take that and turn it to blue, give myself just the right variation of. Harmony emphasizes second inversion through from RMC. Will that be enough? Yeah, that'll be rehearsal mark C. I think it was there, wasn't it? If I got that wrong, I think it was a bit later than that. I think it was actually here, wasn't it, with this horn melody? That's it. Yeah. Blowing the cobwebs off my brain this morning. Who thought Morning Mood would be capable of doing that? It's been interesting so far, seeing how it is constructed. It just sounds so graceful and simple, but there's actually some nice nuanced little pieces, as we should expect from Grieg, obviously. Well, I don't think he felt too highly about this piece, even though he obviously composed it. We'll come to that. And then it looks like a reharmonization, but sort of recapitulation of the theme here. Yeah, I think we're heading to the ending now, aren't we? So T1. Oops, I moved the pages around there by mistake. No, I don't think so. T1. We should get to the end of this, and that'll be a nice point to end. T1 was 10, wasn't it? Yeah, 110. Probably our one of our last playthroughs of this melody before we kind of feel that kind of resting, repetitious kind of coda. There's a fragment of it here, actually. Ooh. Should remember that I can't do that. T111, rag. This goes across pages, so I don't think I'll be able to make my little line. Maybe number it or something. So maybe I might use blue, actually. Yeah, we'll use blue this time just because it's gone over the page. There's always a battle between, will I remember this later in the analysis? So I'm going to put see next page, I think. The amount of times I've done this and then left myself notes and gone, what on earth was I trying to tell myself, my future self there, or my present self? Should do. That's pretty clear, I think, isn't it? You guys can scream at me from the viewing platform. So when you're like, George, it was this. Yeah, so this is slightly different. It's not quite the same, but there's this like a fragment of that secondary, it's like an alteration of the second part of the theme, if you remember. Yeah, I need a full clean iteration to point it out. If you remember in the horn here, actually, does he play it in there? Yeah, here, sorry. What am I talking about? It's right there. I would probably say that this is kind of related to that as well. Obviously, it's slightly different. But those kind of changes do often occur like towards the end of a piece. Because it's less directional, it's sort of static, isn't it? And you get that kind of resting point at the end of pieces. So rather than climbing, as you can see, the contour of this is going upwards. This one's remaining the same. We've got a sense of stasis. So that could be worth pointing out. I'll do myself a little note for that one as well. Ooh. I do things that I'm not sure if they'd be handy to know actually for like purposefully doing, but do them by accident. And then we get these kind of trills. Are they worth pointing out? Don't over annotate at the moment. But obviously this fragment continues here. It becomes more fragmented. I like that for something else, possibly. A common feature of endings, like I say, that static nature, but then this back and forth obviously spreads them out, but fragments it a little further. And if we go up here, Oh, well done. There we go. Click something there. Frag. What do I want to write here? I want to give myself some information about the back and forth. Reduce the size of the text in a moment. Start it, rest, and head into the to end. Thing. That's probably not going to make any sense next week or when we get to that next point. Remember what that sounds like in my head. Or if I go quiet, sort of just, like I say, trying to think what it sounds like, remind myself. Why are you not changing page? There we go. Misbehaving. Don't know why I'm boxing them. There's another iteration now, 11 frag. Full iteration. What's that one was? Not about there, really. Could probably put them as one since I put it 4 bars, but 130 frag. Probably will want some kind of instruction over this frag as to what part of the melody it's using. My Apple mouse is misbehaving. Must be leaving my finger resting on a point. So yes, what I mean is possibly at some point we might want to say like something like call this fragment here, just using the box to demonstrate what I mean. Calling that like motif or phrase A or something, and then phrase B here. I suppose antecedent consequent could work. A and C, or ant and con, but A and B might work as a nice little annotation to add in for our chart, just to make it clear. What I want to do is put this into a tabular analysis, and I also would like, obviously, the table to be as clear as possible so that you can sort of picture what it is, even if you don't have the score in front of you. Crikey. There we go. Crikey. There we go. Close. And that can close us off for today. So yeah, we've got to the end of the piece. We've got a bit of an idea now of how the piece is taking shape. So that's nice. We have these charts and we could put it into a bit of a table. Obviously a clear kind of ternary structure. You've got theme 1 at the beginning, theme 1 at the end, theme 2 in the middle. So that's a good overarching idea of the shape of the piece. Could be some more nuance in there once we dive closer into some of the melodic features and things. Possibly harmony next could be a good one. Or possibly trying to make a preliminary chart or transfer some of these details to the piano score. would like to point out I'm probably going in some places I'm going steps further than I might do on my own for demonstration. I'm hoping it's proven insightful, obviously, but at the same time, yeah, hopefully I'm going some places I'm going a bit further than I would do on my own, just because I'm also breaking this up over several weeks, so I need to remember myself. But also it's good to be for, isn't it? I think, and learn details from things as well. So yes, we got to the end of the piece. We think it's ternary form. Well, we're pretty certain it's ternary form. Could probably have guessed that from listening to it as well. But anyway, we'd have a more nuanced understanding of some of the melodic things that are going on and how that sort of provides a kind of sub-ordering within the ternary structure. So it's not, you get these ideas, don't you, with ternary form, that's simply one melody, then another melody, and then back to your original melody, when actually within that you get your repetitions of themes, sort of variations and adaptations and developments of themes. So it's nice to see that. And this piece does it quite plainly, but very nicely. So it's a good learner piece, I think. Although there is some nuance in here as well, which should be interesting to like more advanced people as well, musicians. So yes, we'll leave it there, and hopefully next week we'll dive into, I've not decided yet, maybe harmony, see what's going on. It should be relatively straightforward to name the chords and things and figure out how functional it is and things like that, and where it takes us and where it goes, because these look quite clean harmonies, not too broken up or embellished. So nice block chords. Might use the piano reduction made by Grieg just to make it even simpler. And I'll be interested to see how helpful that is in analysis as well. So yes, thank you for watching, and we'll leave it there. Goodbye.